You are on, hang on, since we're being recorded, let me make sure. I just ate lunch.
Okay.
And of course I spilled water down my shirt. So I'm good at the visual part, clearly.
Yeah, well, you look like a mountain biker, so that's the important thing.
Yeah, with my COVID hair.
Right.
Clean the floors while I'm at it with the head.
You got it. So, yeah, we're here on PNWmtb, another podcast with Justin Vander Pol. And Justin is the owner, creator, and sole proprietor, correctly, of
You got it.
Abit Gear, which is his company, apparel company. And right now they have a new line, well, an upgraded line of shorts that just came out, which is proving very popular. And I've got 4 pairs. I actually have 2 sets each of the short inseam and the long inseam.
Nice.
And this is not an ad. I pay for these shorts, as Justin can attest. I love them. They're just great. And I'm going for 7, one for every day of the week.
There you go. It's more than I have. Well, I mean, I have about 2,000 of them, but yeah, I only keep 2 pair in my rotation, but I guess I'd rather sell them than wear them or wear fresh ones.
Well, and I was going to say, that's the thing. The funny thing about these shorts is I notice when I'm out riding in them, the only drawback is they get dirtier than my other shorts. And
okay.
I think what that says is I'm having more fun in them. Maybe I'm doing more dangerous things. Maybe I'm hitting that, root ledge or the log roll or whatever else that I was walking around before. I don't know.
I
what
got
it
pretty
is.
dirty in them yesterday. I went head over heels on a techie turn and ended up about 15 feet down the hill.
Oh my God. Where was that? Up on physical therapy or something?
Yeah, and that let's just call it the backcountry there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Yeah. But what separates it? So you want to say, okay, there's so many shorts choices out there. What could this guy possibly add to the mix? And I think there's some really intriguing stuff going on with your shorts, Justin, and maybe you can address why you did it. But the first thing I notice is that it's missing 3 things that a lot of shorts have. It's missing Velcro. There's no Velcro on the waistband or on the cuffs or anything like that. It's missing elastic. Usually there's the waistband is elastic and then you Velcro it to each side for adjustability. And it doesn't have a belt buckle. It does have a belt, but it's got these unique cam lock things on both sides of the waist on the belt. And the cam locks slide along the belt and let you fine tune down to the last micrometer your fit. And once you snap the cam locks in, they stay put. In other words, there's no degradation while you're riding, they're slipping or anything like that, like a belt often does on shorts, because you're moving around a lot. And as far as I know, this is the only shorts, mountain biking shorts that I'm aware of that use this system. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you came up with it. But and there's very little plastic. The front has a jeans type metal button that you use to close the front. And the cams, I believe, are plastic, but they're really high grade. They're not going to break on you. Other than that, the materials just seem like top flight. The 4-way stretch on the fabric. There's some give. There's not as much give as some shorts I've tried, but those shorts tend to snag, and Justin's shorts don't snag. And the stitching is top grade. Another nice little touch I like, and again, it's your thoughtfulness, I think, went into it. Around the waist, on the inside, it's not the same fabric as the outside. In other words, it's not just folded over, and so you've got that abrasive kind of tough fabric that's right nestled against your waist. There's a kind of a velvet material, very soft and smooth.
Yeah, it's a nice soft knit.
Yeah. And there again, I mean, that's something you just don't find in most mountain biking apparel. Maybe you do in higher grade brands of
it's pretty common on the high end, but
yeah, but I appreciate it, that kind of stuff. These 4 pockets now. He had 3 before, and there's 2 kind of pockets that double as vents below the main pocket on each side. But you can put your phone in there, you can put your keys in there. And another nice little touch that Justin added in the new upgraded shorts is there's a separator, kind of a sleeve where you can slip your keys or coins or whatever else
it's a fail safe for the phone. Yeah. My friend Matt is the one that demonstrated the need for that on the original shorts. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was to protect your phone against coming in contact with your keys.
Yeah, either way, that it does that, and it'll if you forget to zip your pocket, maybe it'll keep it in your pocket a little better.
Yeah, and the 4 pockets do have zippers, so that's good. Although, well, again, nice touch is a lot of zipper pockets are shallow because they figure, well, the user is going to zip the pocket. Well, you forget to zip the pocket. So the main pockets on Justin's shorts are fairly deep, and I use them as regular pockets. I don't bother to zip them until I ride, of course, and then I zip them up. But there always was that factor of what if you forget to zip, and then in the case of the main pockets, I've not had any trouble. Things have not fallen out of there.
Nothing will fall out of those.
And I don't ride, I don't really ride with my phone in my shorts. I put it in my pack, so that hasn't been an issue with me. But all these things add up to, and again, he's got 2 different lengths too. The longer length I use in the winter and on bike park type stuff, gnarly trails and things like that. They offer a little more depth of protection over your knees.
Keep away the dreaded gaper gap, right?
Well, yeah, the gaper gap. Yeah, they do that too if you're into fashion while you're riding. But the shorter version I've actually tested, and they don't show much gap. It depends on the pads you're wearing. I've got 3 different sets of pads, and the shorter tops of the pads, if you've got short top pads, then you might get a little bit. But like on the G-form pads I wear, you won't see it even with the shorter ones. But I really like the fact that shorter ones offer more ventilation. In the summertime, I do a lot of cross country type stuff and trail riding, and the longer shorts I found did get a little warm, but the shorter ones are fantastic that way.
Yeah, and the new vents will keep you cooler too.
Yeah, but anyway, that's my take. And I'll be doing a separate review, but yeah, talk a little bit, Justin, about how you came up with the ideas for this stuff. I mean, why you started the company, what needs you saw, and how you came up with the ideas for these special little touches.
Yeah, well, as you know, Paul, I've been in the bike world in a long time, but it was on the advocacy side, right? As my role as the first executive director of BBTC, which we just renamed into Evergreen, a short 10 years ago now.
I know, time flies.
Wow. Or more, who knows?
Yeah.
And it was really, I was looking for a new business to start, something creative that could add value, and it came from need for me. I was really frustrated with what was available shorts wise, and the main thing was for me was fit. So I'm a skinny, tall guy, but I got a big old booty, and I just couldn't squeeze into much on the market. And what I could get into was like, 90s NBA, like super baggy, droopy, not as functional, and pretty dated looks. So yeah, I needed something that fit, so I launched in and created the athletic fit for people like me with the big old booties, and then a slim fit for people who are shaped more like that. So
less with the skinny bottoms, but they can't wear a fanny pack, so they have that disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never had that problem. I could wear like 4 fanny packs and they're not going anywhere. So,
well, no, yeah. I mean, I have my main riding buddy has no butt. And he can't wear a fanny pack because it just,
Yeah, he'd love my slim fits.
true.
Yeah, so it just came from that. And then, I design what I personally want to use. I don't really care what the talking heads on the, that light red colored website and some others say. Like, I'm gonna make I'm gonna make what I want. So I hate the polyester permafunk, so there's no polyester on my shorts. I like zippered pockets. I love riding packless, even on big, like 5,000 foot days, if I can. If it gets too hot, you got to lug a bunch of water. But in those days, I just throw my water filter in my fanny pack. So I wanted, zippered pockets. I hate Velcro because it quits working after a year, and then it'll tear your jerseys apart. So no Velcro. I've had buttons pop open on me. I'm like, why the heck use a silly little button? Let's use, jeans work. Let's use a jeans like button. But I spent ages sourcing a lower profile one. Just went absolutely obsessive nutty on what I personally wanted, and then hopefully that works for a lot of other people. Yeah. So, and I'm really, really hard on gear. Really hard on gear. All my buddies who know me, they might ride faster, but I break more stuff. So I wanted them to hold up. Yeah.
Yeah, and they really do. I was on the trail the other day, and I was wearing the ones I've had since the beginning, a couple of years ago. And somebody asked me, "Oh, are those the new Abit gear shorts?" And they look like they're new. They fooled them, so they're still in great shape. I don't know how you managed to do it, but the fabric.
Yeah, well, it's nylon.
Fantastic.
It's more expensive material. It's simple as that. It just costs more to make, but it's 30% stronger for the same weight. So.
And your
Get
price
what you
point,
pay for.
yeah, and that brings up your price point. It's 109 basically.
Yeah, 109.95 right now, so 110-ish. It's as low as I could keep it. Well, even going direct to consumer. So
yeah, but that's not out of line. I mean, I'd put that around medium, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's mid-market for quality stuff.
Yeah.
If you go cheaper than that, you have to cut the cost somewhere, and they're going to do it in the material and the thread and things like that, the DWR.
So where did you come up with the cam locks, which I really like?
So there's a couple other, that's from a pretty major, it's actually the same brand of buckle maker that makes some buckles for high-end or good quality mountain bike helmets. So they're European-based companies. So they have them available. I've seen them on some products before. I just never liked how they were integrated before. That's why I have the full-on integrated belt. Because I don't want, you actually shrink a little bit during the course of a ride, just with water loss. So I just wanted something that stayed up. And I personally, once again, some people like elastic better. I personally like a secure belt that I can adjust. So that's what we got.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I was concerned when I first used them. I thought, well, they might bite into my tender chicken fat around my waist, but I've not had that problem at all. It seems like they're low profile, and they're pretty small. Don't essentially come into contact with your skin. So
yep.
Yeah. And the addition to the pocket was your friend Matt decided that
well, yeah, that it was a smart thing to add. Just keep the phone a little more secure. It was worth doing and pretty easy to do. Yeah. The big thing was the fourth pocket. Like, I didn't do it initially to try to stay below $100. But with supply chain issues, everybody's going over 100 anyway now. But I just decided I personally want a fourth pocket. I do big rides. I'm a cross country rider who does a lot of downhilling partway through a ride. Is the best way to say it, right? I love the big ups. I love the big downs. Yeah. And it's just so liberating now with, you got your one-up tool and your headset. I've got a pump strapped to my down tube. I got a big old water bottle on my bike, throw 2 granola bars, phone and wallet in my shorts, get out and get after it. If it's not 85 degrees out, I can get 5,000 feet that way. Yeah. And I just wanted to be able to do that without worrying about a pack now that bikes are just so dialed for riding packless. It's unbelievable. Like, we're in the golden era right now. Stuff just works.
I know they come up with some new place to stick your gear every time a bike upgrade comes out.
So, oh yeah, those mad scientists at One Up, they're good. I like those guys.
Yeah. I hadn't actually thought about that. I carry a lot of, I guess, extraneous stuff that
Yeah.
only comes in handy like maybe once or twice a year. Like I carry a wadded up roll of duct tape, for instance,
Yeah.
and you'd be
Yeah.
surprised at how often duct tape comes into play.
Yeah. On
Somebody's
big rides, I still bring a lot of that repair stuff. And big rides, I mean, deep in the backcountry where it'd be a 5-hour walk, right? Like, Angel Staircase, even though that's last time I rode it last fall, that was a super highway. But, there's a lot of big rides out there.
right.
But, Paul, we lived through the 90s, right? Even actually the first half of the, just right after the turn of the century, after 2000, first 5 years there. Like if you rode hard and you rode with a group of 4 people, somebody's bike broke every single ride without fail. So we used to lug all kinds of junk, but the bikes are so dialed right now that if I can safely walk out, I'm not bringing all that stuff anymore. But I'm still the guy who fixes all my friends' bikes. So if we're going deep, and it's a safety thing, pack will go on with all the spare bits, duct tape and baling wire.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Pile zip ties.
Yeah, no, it is amazing how the technology and everything has improved so much. And a lot of times I'll find myself not paying a whole lot of attention to the updates because I've given up essentially any idea that something could be improved. And then all of a sudden it'll hit me. Oh, wait, this is a real breakthrough. And, there's something here.
For me, bikes that fit is a huge thing now because, taller, I'm not super tall, but I'm 6'2" and a little longer torso. So, 10 years ago, I mean, we were scrunched on little circus bikes. We just didn't realize it. Back always hurt. Now the comfort's there. And for me, the biggest thing is I've broken over 10 frames. I would have to tally them up. But I mean, a lot of it's doing stupid things on bikes that weren't downhill bikes, but that's how we rode here in the Northwest, even in the late 90s, right?
Yeah, you had to, yeah.
And that's the biggest thing now is stuff it holds up. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Love it.
Yeah. And that's only been within the last 8 to 10 years, I would say. The last bike I broke, because you're right. I mean, almost all of the initial 10 or 15 bikes I owned, I get one every year, broke one way or another, and they'd be warranted or whatever. But it was always kind of a hassle. The last one I broke was my Ibis, the original Ibis Mojo carbon.
Yeah.
Remember, with the nude carbon, they called it, with the visible weave. The chainstay broke on that one. Took it in Ibis and they gave me a new bike. But since then, gosh, I don't think I've broken anything. It's been pretty reliable. And I'm not really.
I've broken every aluminum bike I've had over the ages, except for 2, like a Rocky Mountain Element cross-country bike, which they just used really good quality aluminum on that and good welding. And a Santa Cruz VP Free. One of the weirdest bikes ever made, but you couldn't kill them.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah, let's talk about the good old days a little bit. First of all, what do you think about mountain biking today in the Northwest? Justin, you've had a lot to do with shaping it. Has it turned out the way you expected when you started in on all this? What do you see as its strengths? What do you see as its weaknesses? Where can it improve? Where can we grow from here? Those sorts of things.
In some ways it's blown my expectations out of the water, and I'm a person with a lot of vision and lofty goals. So that's saying something. It's nuts in a good way. I mean, let's take Tiger Mountain. Okay. So when I was executive director of Evergreen, there was no prospect of getting new trails on Tiger. Raging wasn't even a thing. John Kennedy, kind of my good friend, and I hired him at BBTC, and he was executive director after I was. He broke that thing free, combined with some good people coming on board at DNR, like Sam Jarrett, who is a fantastic partner, an honest partner, and kind of helped push the need for mountain bike trails forward. So we were working on these long-term vision things where we could see this. Some of what we thought would happen didn't, and a lot of what wasn't even on our radar happened, but it was all from building this foundation of, making us credible, establishing, let's just call it Evergreen, because that's what BBTC became, establishing Evergreen as trail building experts. Like, we're not just a social club. That's how it was kind of when, and we did a lot of maintenance, but let's make this a trail building business, and let's be the best on the planet at it. And you know what? The guys they're amazing. Like, they built damn good trail, durable trail, rowdy trail, not rowdy trail, great climbers. Like, these are all wildly different skill sets, and they nail it. So our agency partners started to see us as good at what we did. We'll make their job easier, not harder, and it just started blowing up. And thank goodness it did, because in the last 5 years, I mean, was there like 80% more people riding mountain bikes?
Oh God, it's amazing.
It's nuts. Like, you know how it was, Paul. Like, back in the day, I mean, granted, I knew a lot of people through the advocacy stuff at Evergreen, but I couldn't go to a trailhead and not know at least one out of every 3 people, and talk more than ride and all that. It's not like that. I don't, in the winter it still is. When it's kind of grim, and actually when I think some of the conditions are the best for tech trails, not for flow trails, but you still kind of have that old crowd of diehard men and women who know each other and get after it in those just wonderfully difficult conditions. But in the summer now, there's people everywhere that you've never seen, and that's a great thing. It's a fantastic thing. I think it's amazing, and I'm so glad the people who followed me, because I just laid the foundation. I didn't do a lot of this stuff, but the people who followed me at Evergreen, Glenn Glover, an unsung rock star. That guy put his heart and soul into it, and he was good at all the things I was bad at, and really built that thing. Just toiled and fought, and he had headwinds, and he never gave up. And then after him, Yvonne is just killing it.
God, she's amazing.
It's mind-blowing. And for me, my riding style, like we kind of talked about it earlier, I like the rowdy stuff. For me, a cross-country ride is a downhill ride. Like, it's just mountain biking, but let's pedal. Let's do 5,000 feet of vert. I mean, an after-work ride's usually in 3s or 4s, but and then let's hit some just spicy, fast, crazy, sometimes weird trails on the way down. And we have that now. I never, Colonnade actually broke the door open on some of this stuff. Thinking about advocacy and the different parts of laying the foundation. So one I talked about already was the credibility and the trust with the land managers. Like, we're your partner. We also have trust with other user groups, ones that may not agree with us, right? That may have a different point of view on wilderness, but we'll disagree with you, but we're going to do it honestly, right? So when there is an opportunity to work together on something really cool, and it's happened with people who may have been our quote sworn enemies in the 90s. No, those days are done. We can disagree where we disagree, but let's get good things done together when we get done. So those are 2 parts of the foundation. The third one, though, that I just mentioned is the rowdy stuff. And Colonnade broke the door open for that. I mean, Colonnade still is an interesting environment, right? We built bony jumps, weird skinnies, crazy drops, steep chutes, and the city of Seattle understood. They're very sophisticated from a risk management standpoint, because they're self-insured and they just kind of understand it a little better. But they understood that physical risk is not legal risk. Like, we have skate parks. These kids are skating around on sharp concrete, right? Okay, so why can't you do something like that on a mountain bike? They opened the door, and then that became acceptable to all these agency groups. And so now, the only thing holding us back from building rowdy trails is finding appropriate terrain, right? And so we have some of that, and some places should be a mellow trail, some places should be a rowdy trail, and that's what they're doing now. It's Paul, it's amazing. It's so good right now. It's so good. Like, I don't even want to travel to ride my bike unless it's wildly different. I mean, like, different scenery, different geography, different style in here. If I'm going to go to a Pacific Northwest style forest, no, why would I drive? Unless I'm camping out or something. But actually, I say that when there's places like the Gifford Pinchot that are just mind-blowingly good. But
well, that's still in the general bailiwick. I mean, it was interesting. Pinkback just ran a poll a couple months ago. What state would be your first choice to go mountain biking in if you could choose any state? And Washington came in second, only behind Utah. It was ahead of Colorado. It was ahead of California. It was ahead of Idaho, and all the other states, Arizona, Nevada, everything they listed. Now we probably would be, behind BC, but still, I mean, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, you suggest, hey, let's go to Washington State to ride mountain bikes. Nobody would have taken you seriously. It would have been a joke. So, and the other thing is, the last, I don't know how many times, because I basically didn't start counting until recently, but as much as I ride on Tiger Mountain, every time I've ridden on Tiger Mountain recently, Justin, I have encountered somebody who's there for the first time, a brand new mountain biker.
Yeah.
And I thought, Evergreen is
Tiger's not the easiest place to learn to ride a bike either, or learn to ride a mountain bike.
Yeah, I mean, I had to give directions to a guy. He was at the outer trailhead of Northwest Timber, and he said, I want to ride up to the top. Where can I ride up to the top from here? And I said, you might just want to go back to where you started from. But yeah, so people do get confused or lost. But it's just astounding that with Evergreen, more than 8,000 members now, there's still new people coming to this sport every single day.
Yeah. Talking about 8,000 members, that's 8,000 paid members, like legit members, not just people who sort of follow you.
Yep.
When I was on the board for 9 or 10 years after I was executive director, so I stuck around for a while. But when I was ED, we were trying to crack 1,000 people, paid members. It was like hovering at 800, and now it's tenfold that, with some people really stepping up too, like putting real money, real volunteer time, whichever way they, works for them. But
they just had the Give Big campaign, and I was tracking that a little bit. I haven't seen today's numbers, but I think they raised over 100,000 from the campaign. Great. But the average donation was almost $150. Now, you can say, well, that's amazing. On the other hand, with 8,000 members, it'd be nice if everybody gave $10. That average donation might go down, but you'd have a ton of more money. Still,
we'll get them. We'll keep working on them, Paul. We'll get them. I mean, when people are new to the sport, they don't understand this dynamic. They don't. But they will. Yeah. I also think all these people who've been riding just either moved here in the last 5 years or really got into it in the last 5 years don't realize how grim it was. Like, it was tough. Like, even just maintaining access to the 3 at the time. I mean, I'm just going to call them crappy trails. The 3 crappy trails that were on Tiger Mountain, it wasn't always guaranteed. We got booted off of a bunch of different areas. Like, it was.
Well, they're only open half the year, remember? So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly.
They were closed October through April. So yeah, no, it was a wasteland, essentially. There was just nothing there.
That wasn't that long ago.
No. And to see how the sport has grown in general as well is kind of flabbergasting. I mean, you go back to the days in the 90s, like you said, when you knew everybody, and you'd have little gatherings, and that would be.
We still have, well, COVID kind of smacked that down, but those gatherings are going to be coming back.
Yeah. But it was a ragtag group. It wasn't political. It was anti. It was anti getting involved with bureaucracy, anti getting involved with red tape, with regulation, all that sort of stuff. We just wanted to stay off of the radar and ride as much as we could within those boundaries, which were pretty constrictive. So it was a different philosophy. And to your credit, and Brian Jones and Jennifer Lesher and Art and Lenny, all those guys really had to make a kind of a mental adjustment and get us respect, essentially, so we could work with the agency.
Well, and I want to give a lot of credit to all those folks, absolutely every single one of them, but Brian Jones in particular, another person who probably no one knows that he's like this godfather of local trail access. He's the one who made the decision, like, we got to go pro, right? And hire an executive director. I kind of pushed us into the professional trail building side of things, but Brian was 100% on board with all that. And, Brian was really good at understanding that, and the whole board was, it was sort of before my time when things were more like bloody battles, but like, hey, we can disagree with people, but we have to partner with them. We have to get things done. The red tape is our friend. It may take 10 years, it might take I mean, a lolly took 15 years, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was probably 18 actually when you looked at when it was first proposed. Like, we have these people and the system. Like, if any one person leaves, fine, right? We have this system, these people that are going to stick with it. Look at Cheesty Green Space here in Seattle. That thing finally broke loose after I don't know how much red tape for a tiny little thing, but we stuck with it, and it's gonna happen, and we're gonna keep doing that because stuff does not move fast on the federal level. It just simply doesn't. So you have to be there. You have to be ready. You have to maybe put things on the shelf for a while, but never give up, never let them go. Because at some point, maybe some agency's suddenly going to have a few dollars. Like the feds have no money right now, but they might have a few dollars to do some trail stuff. Or a key staffer might change who just sort of opens the door for you, right?
Right.
You have to be there. You have to never give up. And it works for us, but it's not instant gratification. It is a grind, and we grind, man. We grind.
Well, and as somebody who hates meetings, I just, you know, my heart goes out to you. It's just amazing how much of that kind of desk time and table time you had to spend over the years to get stuff done that all of us really don't like to do.
Yeah, you know, you really have to appreciate that about this Evergreen staff and the board of directors, who also kind of flies under the radar. Since I've done both those roles, I gave up a lot of riding to go to meetings for 15 years. Yeah. That's why I kind of eventually just swelled that, and just at some point you do burn out. 15 years is a pretty good run. Yeah. But at some point you do need to be willing to like hand it off to the next gen and go out and actually ride your bike a little more. I'm definitely in better shape now than I was back then, for sure.
Yeah.
So
no. Well, what do you see emerging on the mountain biking front today, Justin? I mean, we've got the e-bike thing. What's your take on how that's proceeding?
Yeah, I have a really nuanced take on e-bikes. I think they need a place to ride. I think the e-bike companies need to step up. And I'm trying to say that without swearing. They need to step up. They're seeing green, they're making a lot of money. An e-bike rider will put 3 or 4 times as much wear on a trail, not because the bikes wear harder, because you do 3 laps instead of 1.
Right.
Step up and help us maintain the trails. It's almost less about building the trails, even though that is a thing too. Help us maintain the trails. We're going to be drowning in maintenance if if the industry doesn't step up and help us. And I know the bike industry isn't actually a very high profit industry, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 brands. So we need that. But my overall view on it is it's a legitimate activity. They need places to ride. They need places to ride in urban areas. Not everybody is physically capable. I understand this in my own family. Not everybody's physically capable of this strenuous stuff. That said, do they belong everywhere? Absolutely not. They belong where it makes sense for them to go. Like if there's a trail, and this is where, I'm not going to give you they're good or bad, because does it work for the trail when we look at, you know, the trail maintenance requirements, the location of the trail, you know, any political factors about the trail? Is it like kind of a quasi wilderness that butts along wilderness for a while, you know, where it could actually create, you know, an advocacy flap? Maybe that matters, maybe that doesn't, but look at each individual trail, and if it works, do it. If it doesn't, don't. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to pick a camp, but well, and you know, when I have back issues, when I'm no longer able to ride my meat motor, I'll probably buy an e-bike. Yeah, hopefully it's 20 years. But so if I want to do it at some point, it'd be pretty ridiculous to say, oh no, you know, that's my take. Yeah.
Do you think it works better for the e-bike evangelists to become integrated with the mountain biking community, or should they work their side of the street and mountain biking works its side of the street? How do you think politically it's best for e-bikers to approach?
As long as we're leaving it at class 1 e-bikes, I think it will eventually, no matter what anybody wants or doesn't want, it'll all be lumped together. Because if you look at places around the region, like Squamish allows e-bikes, right? So, I mean, culturally, just in the Pacific Northwest, that's part of the deal. You know, you can ride e-bikes on a lolly at Suntop, a bunch of places like that. You know, I think it'd be silly to try to split it into 2. You know, there's some hardcore pro e-bike people that are never going to be happy. And there's some hardcore anti e-bike people that are never going to be happy.
Right.
Okay.
That's just the way of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, you can rent and raid. Here's a shovel. Go dig.
Well, the numbers are shifting. I mean, it's been interesting. MTBR just did a poll recently that showed that the attitudes are softening toward e-bikes. When they were asked to say what bike they're going to get next, half of the poll respondents said they were just going to get a conventional mountain bike, but
Yeah.
more than a quarter, or at least a quarter, said they were going to go with an e-bike, and there were another 20% or 15 to 20% were undecided. So, and definitely, I think, the feedback I've gotten out on the trails is more, yeah, they're here as long as they don't turn into bad actors, as long as they respect the trails and respect other riders, it's okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And there's a couple trails I don't want them on. Most of them I don't care. So
yeah. And in terms of the Northwest, we've got a lot of trails that are out basically on the books at this point. Do you see any issues in terms of doing too many trails, getting any issues with congestion or too much popularity in our area?
yeah, I mean, I prefer a mountain biking experience where I don't see a lot of people. So just selfishly, it's probably a concern, but the upside is like, whoop, here, and my desire to be in solitude is whoop, down here. So yeah, I'll just suck it up personally and deal. It's a reality though, it's a population growth issue, right? It's not mountain biking, it's every outdoor activity is dealing with the same thing. So my answer to that is we have to build more trails. We have to build them in appropriate places, right? They can't just go everywhere. I don't want them everywhere. But
a lot of what
we need more trails.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, well, not a lot, but an attitude I see is jumping to conclusions about something, like the exit off of Highway 18 at the East Summit parking lot. That is a problem, and I'm kind of like saying, let's just wait and see what they come up with before we get all in a knot over one strategy or another. But just people need to be patient, I guess, and trust that essentially the people at the top are working on their behalf.
And there's a lot going on. We've seen it, like, right, because you were involved pretty heavily in advocacy. I certainly was, and we saw that this stuff did get solved. It doesn't happen in a year. Right. And so if you've only been riding 5 years and you haven't really seen this play out over and over again, I can see how it would get frustrating. But we got good people working on it. I trust them too. I really do.
Well, tell us a little bit about what your favorite stuff is, your favorite trails. What bike do you ride? How is it set up? What do you like about it?
So about 2 years ago, for the first time since the early 2000s, I'm down to one bike. I used to always have a downhill bike.
Right.
I kind of spent a lot of time in the Whistler Bike Park back in the glory days when it was just a bunch of dirt bags in the village, and no clubbers. And
do you remember the
teepees?
Do you remember the teepee? Do you remember the teepee? Do you go back that far? I mean, you're not old enough, probably.
No, I don't remember the teepee. No.
Whistler was just a teepee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God. Yeah.
And trails like Ride Don't Slide were super secret squirrel. Not really, but kind of. People thought they were. You had to earn them, sneak under the rope, and get them.
No, and there was no bike park, so I would go up to Whistler, the top of Whistler, but the way I did it, and maybe you had a secret, that was to actually push my bike up Khyber Pass.
Yeah,
and essentially a trail called Khyber Pass, and then push up the what calls the Whistler Highway, which is a dirt
Highway 86, right?
Is that big fat road? Yeah, big fat dirt road. And then you ride down. And then one day I was doing it, and they said, "I'm sorry, you can't come in here anymore."
Okay,
funny, yeah, but that was a good thing. So
yeah, I mean, speaking of Whistler, I've switched. I like the park a little bit, but I really like the valley trails, the Whistler cross country. Oh, That stuff's so good.
Yeah.
Squamish, that technical riding, that's my cup of tea. So you're asking what I ride. I ride a Transition Patrol.
Okay.
And, I did a 10,000 foot day on it last year. So that's my cross country bike and my downhill bike. I do have 2 wheel sets, and I switch up the setup a little bit.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that's a 27.5, right?
Yeah, that's just because it fits me well. I'm frugal. I'm too cheap to go out and buy a.
Have you tried mulleting it? I don't know how it would work with a Patrol.
It's great the way it is. My next bike might be a mullet. It might be 29. I don't know, but this thing fits me great. Like, I was talking about back issues earlier. It's probably a little long for me. It's an XL. It's 500 mil reach, but I feel I can ride all day on it without pain. So that's great. That's what I love. And
Nice.
Yeah, my favorite rides, I spend most of my time at the Raging River backcountry. Canyon, like some of my favorite trails. Okay, so let's just break it down. This stuff all. Yeah. So the tech trails at Raging, I love like the lollipop. So go up, do no service and Invictus, maybe go back up, get them all, climb back up, hit CCDH. Oh, that's a lap.
Yeah.
That is a lap. That's so good.
Yeah.
And then, Tiger Mountain, I never loved it until the last year or two. What happened though is that Highway 18, it was too hard to drive there because the interchange.
Yeah.
And so COVID actually opened that back up to be convenient again.
Yes.
Driving there. But the new stuff at Tiger is a game changer out there. It's so good. I mean, Predator's a super fun trail, especially if you ride it more than once or twice a year. I sometimes have big gaps between when I ride it, and the lines have changed and you shear off a derailleur or something. But that no TG, EBAD. I love East Tiger Summit. So instead of hanging a right to go to OTG, you stay left and you take the East Tiger Summit Trail.
Right.
And it's not the hardest trail to ride slow. It's so fun to ride fast. Like it has these, I'm just going on to fanboy stuff now, but it has, all these rollers that you can boost off them, but it's way more fun to pre-jump them. Yeah. So you're just floating, and because we don't have a lot of features like that here in the greater Seattle area. So pre-jump these rollers, you're only a foot off the ground. You hit backside, it squirts you out even faster on the back end, like manualing through stuff like, just stuff like that. I love it. I'm a tech rider, like your typical flow trail I have no interest in. I mean, everyone that some of the new stuff is pretty fun where it's tighter and it'll become tech over time, but just a general flow trail, I'll leave that for the masses, but give me some tech. Love it. I rode the North Shore of Vancouver a ton back in the day, but interestingly, I like our riding better now.
The North Shore?
Yeah, you can put together a better overall ride here. I mean, I still love Mount Cypress, even though it's being developed into homes, but Cypress or Cypress Mountain, that's the goods, like Wild Cherry, Fifth Horseman. So good. So good.
Yeah. I remember one of the first times I went up there, I hooked up with a couple Canadians who were showing me the trail. I don't know which one we came down, might have been Oil Can. I don't know. Can't remember. But I was lagging way behind him, and finally I got out on the road again, and I said, whoa, I had no idea. And they said, oh, you did pretty well for a Yank. The last one we had to take out on a stretcher.
So I bet that too, like, oh, you ride pretty good for American.
Exactly. Thanks, I guess. Right. Yeah, those were the good old days. Well, and Tiger is not complete by any means yet, as you know, and I think the best is yet to come. I mean, I'm kind of between the flow and the tech. Like EBAD, I like to do just because it's a nice challenge whenever I do it. To ride for fun, probably not. I mean, it's more of a skills, challenge for me than anything. The new one, ET, gets more toward the kind of stuff I like to do.
That trail is, I've only ridden it twice, once at a work party and this once recently, since it's, kind of this soft open.
Right.
First time I rode that trail, I was like, woof. I got a little hot a couple times.
I was going to say, yeah, you can get ahead of your skis. Is that the expression? Basically, essentially the fast, it's unusual for Tiger to have a trail that fast.
That trail though, I think will self-govern people over time, because it's not going to stay buttery smooth like that.
No.
So you're going to start having chunk in the corners where riders who aren't, who might be teetering on the edge. I mean, granted, I teeter on the edge every time I ride, but the chunk's gonna slow things down a little bit on that one as it develops.
Yeah, and it's also getting that kind of gravel stuff I've noticed when it gets a little more dry. And that's the worst thing for me on a trail, Justin. I hurt myself really bad sliding out on a gravel switchback, and since then I've never psychologically liked gravel at all. So
I'm with you. The scariest part for me of every ride is that one section where you've got a slight downhill on a logging road, and it's got cobble and that 2-inch minus gravel on the top, and you're like, you could push that corner until you can't. Like, nah, scared to death, I'm slowing down.
Well, and the advances in tires have helped in that respect. I will say there's stuff that I would not have ridden 5 years ago with the tires they had then versus the compounds and the
tires are
everything. In fact, you should talk a little bit about that, because you're kind of an expert on tires.
I would call myself an aficionado more than an expert, right? Because I love riding tech trails in the wet, I push tires to their limit, particularly in the winter, where it's as much about, how well your rubber's hanging on as it is about how fast you're going.
Right.
So I love that kind of riding. And I'm a huge fan of the sticky rubber. Stickiest you can put up front, with nice chunky side knobs that aren't going to fold over and try to kill you. It's basically the Minion and the Assegai and the Magic Mary, the modern, what used to be our downhill tires, which have become cross country tires because they have, casing choices now. That the stickiest rubber up front and the mid sticky in the back. And then once, a lot of people don't know this about the, Pacific Northwest, but it gets dried, blown out like July through September here. Right. So then I leave the sticky up front. Sometimes I'll put a faster rolling tire on the back and go for the high country miles.
I was interested when I think the last thread I read of you'd actually recommended the Schwalbes over the Minions, but
it's all specific, right? Like the Schwalbe Magic Mary, I think, is one of the best loamy winter tires. However, this time of year I don't like it anymore. It's not bad, but the Minion's better. It just gets a little squirmy on the hard pack. So
right. And the Assegai with the max grip is a nice front tire for you.
I'm on a 27.5, so I don't think I can find a max grip Assegai in my casing choice. I don't know. I go for rubber first and tread pattern. Rubber first, then casing, then tread pattern. So between like a Minion, DHF, or an Assegai, like I don't really care which one I run. I just want the right rubber and the right casing. And they're different what's available in 27 versus 29. So especially this year when Maxxis is sold out of all the good stuff. Find something pretty close to your ideal and grab it.
I'll say. I started hoarding things. It's just like
the supply chains, I know this from my own business, are crazy right now. My fabric supplier was like, you might want to be thinking about the order you want to do in 9 months.
Wow.
Oof. And it's a small brand where the whole trick on keeping this thing afloat is like cash flow, right? You're independent, so you're looking at that and you're like, okay, we've got some planning to do, we'll make it work. But
no, I know, I know some like small shops that are really hurting right now, and it's sad because I love LBSs. I love folks who know what they're doing. Justin, I can take my bike in, and ask a question and they'll give me the answer that's right, as opposed to posting on Facebook and getting 320 answers and you've got to choose which one of those is right.
Facebook has so many wrong answers.
Oh,
Oh my God.
it's so sad. I mean, these people are, they're wasting time and energy, and you just feel like, oh, there's got to be a better way. And there is. I mean, your LBS is great, but those guys can't get their hands on components and parts and stuff. So it's really difficult. I hope,
the LBS game locally here has really stepped up. Like back in the day, there was only a handful of shops that I trusted for a mountain bike, and we've got a lot of good ones now. It's really pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're spread out enough that you don't have to like go out of your way to get to one. So we've got a wealth of riches here. It's just amazing. No wonder people want to come here to ride, and what a difference. Well, hey, thanks. If there's anything else you wanted to bring up, or
no, it's just hero dirt season out there. Get after and get some, right? So this is my favorite time of year to ride. It's like the dirt's perfect. We're still getting a little bit of moisture to keep things tacky. Pretty heavy snow year, so it's going to be a little slow, but you can start creeping up to the high country. Some of the stuff might be August this year with the big snowpacks. But you can inch higher. Stuff over 3,000 feet should be in play here pretty soon. So,
well, it's interesting. I was on North Cascades Highway just opened, and I have friends over in Winthrop who always invite me over as soon as it turns. And I'm just wondering when the snow is going to clear up there. Now, Sun Mountain has come a long ways, and Sun Mountain is a great place to go. And I'm sure that most of that stuff probably is open. But the real high stuff, like you said, Angel Staircase and the new, some of the new trails they put in. And that, boy, talk about a place that's going to explode, Winthrop. Oh my God, there's so much potential there for real.
The terrain and the scenery is so good. So good.
Yeah. And all those game trails and everything, and that the locals know about, where you can just go miles and miles and not see anybody. And it's just, if we can get those on the books, I know that Loop, they've got an actual project in mind for Loop that's going to be pretty cool. Everywhere it's happening, except with the pandemic, can't go to, will we be able to get up to BC this year, do you think? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how do you know, right? I hope so. I miss me some Squamish and, the Whistler Valley trails, and I even been to Revelstoke and places like that. It's just so good. They have that rock that we don't have here, and it's a nice variety with our local stuff. So.
Yeah, and I always find when I go up there, I and I'm usually riding all day long because, I'm on vacation or whatever. And I come back and my skill set has just improved so much, it's incredible. So, you've got that factor as well. Have you done, Lord of the...
I haven't. So
the
last couple times I've been there, it's Lord of the Squirrels.
Squirrels, right, yeah.
Yeah, that a ride like that's totally up my alley. I like the big climbs.
How about top of the world? Have you done that one?
Oh yeah, I've done that a bunch. I've done that the easy way and the hard way. And we even took a helicopter off top of Rainbow one time for
cool.
50th birthday. Kind of splurged on that. But Lord of the Squirrels. Last two times I was there, it was closed for bears.
Oh.
Yeah, some grizzlies up there mating, or I don't know what was going on, but it was closed. So that one's still on my list. We'll have to make that one happen. I
hope we can get up there. It'd be nice. Well, anyway, keep in touch. It's great talking with you, Justin. You're a hero of mine. I mean, I think the Northwest PNWmtb owes a lot to people like you. And the more... Well, it's taken an army. We got some good people. So nice. Okay. All right, Paul. Take care. Thanks so much. You bet. We'll see ya.